So today, Apple announced the new iPhones. We got the iPhone 16 series and then the iPhone 16 Pro series, both having, of course, a bigger model. You got the iPhone 16 Plus and the 16 Pro Max. And, even though, a lot of people say, every year it's just the same phone and things like that, minor updates, I gotta say this year's line of phones, I think are gonna be pretty dope if you don't have them. I think there's going to be a real push. I think there's going to be a pretty decent difference between last year and this year. And the biggest thing is going to be Apple Intelligence. Now, Apple Intelligence looks to be a complete, almost like optimization of a lot of the tools in Apple. Like you see, obviously, Siri. A lot of the way the Apple ecosystem works, the way the devices work together, I think Apple Intelligence is taking that to another level, adding a lot more tools, a lot more, taking advantage of the power that's inside of iPhones. Because, a lot of our phones, not just iPhones, but a lot of the high-end smartphones in general have a lot of, capability. And I think Apple, what they're doing here is truly taking advantage of, everything that is in their phone. They have these great chips, but now we're starting to see that being taken advantage of. It's kind of like how, when people talk about iPads have great chips, specifically the M4 iPad Pro, but they're not really taking advantage of the full extent. While I think there could be arguments made about like using more power in the iPad, I think that the iPhones in particular are doing a lot more. And I think with this year in particular, it's kind of like, if you have a normal 15, you should probably upgrade. But if you have a 15 Pro, you probably skip out on this year, but I'd still probably recommend upgrading. Because what we learned today, of course, is about Apple Intelligence and the new things. But the phones that are going to be supporting Apple Intelligence, I believe the 15 Pro is. I believe the 15 Pro, they're going to be supporting Apple Intelligence. But the normal iPhone 15s are not. So I got my iPhone 15 Plus right here, and I'm gonna have to upgrade because I want to mess with these Apple Intelligence features. So, as an average guy, I'm trying to give y'all like an average guy's opinion, because of course you have the higher end type people, but people that may get sent this stuff, people that's like, oh, $1,000 isn't nothing. $1,000 is a lot to me. All right, so this is my honest opinion. So I just want to give y'all a little bit more perspective and be a little bit more real with y'all, not just lay out specs and be like, alright, charts, numbers and things like that, because I hate math. I hate numbers. Well, depends on the numbers, but I want to just give y'all a little bit more of a realistic perspective. I've been, of course, listening to some tech videos, but as someone who's gonna have to pay every penny for this phone, I want to really give y'all some perspective about these new devices, right? So of course we have the iPhone 16, the base. We got the base iPhone 16, which is, the, I guess, entry or affordable level iPhone. This is, I gotta say, probably the most common iPhones people get, because they are the cheapest. They start at $800. It's gonna be the best way to, if you want an iPhone, the latest one, but not spend over $1,000. This is gonna be your iPhone, right? And so it comes with Apple Intelligence, and for the first time, what we're really seeing is Pro features that are new to the Pro be also on the 16. So, for example, with the iPhone 14, the 14 Pro had Dynamic Island, but the normal 14 did not. But then the normal 15 had the Dynamic Island. But then the 15 Pro got the action button, but the normal 15 did not. Now we're seeing the capture button, the camera button. I'm not sure what the official name is for it. Let me look at it. But I think everyone's going to be calling it the capture button, so it doesn't really matter what the official name is. But you're getting the capture button, which is dope, because really you're getting all of the like core features of the Pro, minus a lot of the extra refinements. I gotta say, if you're just looking to get an iPhone, I'd say probably, the iPhone 16 is a good pickup, because you're gonna get all of the newest Apple features, like Apple Intelligence and things like that. But it's more of a, I gotta say, probably an entry into the Apple ecosystem, because this is the first new iPhone I bought, because normally I buy iPhones used previously. Like I had an iPhone XS, an iPhone 12, but then this is the first phone I brought brand new, the iPhone 15 Plus, and now going into the next year I plan to get a Pro, right? And so I think these phones are good to get you into Apple, to test if you like it or not, because a lot of older phones don't have the newest features, and so they aren't always the best. A lot of older iPhones aren't always the best way to gauge if you like Apple or not. But of course, I guess you could say the best way to fully see if you like Apple or not is to go all the way with the Pro. But given the price tag on that, if you end up not really messing with Apple, you just spent a huge amount of money. Given the 16 is a lot of money as it is, but you know, I feel like if you get the 16 and don't mess with it, it's a lot less of a, you know, a big thing than the 16 Pro. But honestly, as someone who uses Android, I'm recording this on a Galaxy S24 Ultra. Yes, I use two phones if you didn't see my previous video. I think the 16 is always going to be a good little thing where it's not as good as the Pro, but once you start messing with it and think about, wow, the Pro can do a little bit more, you can like see areas when you use the base phone of areas of improvement, whether it be a little bit of camera, a little better zoom. You can see the little areas that you know are going to be better on the 15 Pro, on the Pro version, right? And so, you know, obviously once you buy an iPhone, you're not going to be able to trade it in until the next year. So I think that like you get a nice little year with 16, and then next year when 17 comes out, if you really want to get something like a little bit more perfect, then you go up to the Pro. But I really think if you have a Pro iPhone, which we're getting ready to get into, you're probably not going to need to upgrade for quite a while. So that's just the base 16. Oh, you got the cameras switched to the side, better colors. These are probably the best iPhone colors we're getting, that we've gotten in quite a minute. I think the 13 and 14 Pro colors, I just thought those were ugly. Last year was kind of dope-ish. I mean, I liked the black, and all the other colors were kind of like muted, but I think they were like okay enough. But this, we're actually getting quite a bit of vibrant colors. So I definitely think, you know, this is probably going to be the most popular iPhone, because the Pros, they always use a lot more muted colors, because the Pros are supposed to be the high-end professional things, right? So they always have to keep a very, like, for example, you wouldn't see someone wearing like a hot pink suit in like a professional setting. You would normally see someone wear like a lot more muted colors, which is why the Pros are always muted colors, and the normal ones, which a lot more people are going to use, are going to be just a variety of different colors, right? So the colors are really dope. I gotta say the pink looks really dope, but that nice little teal green, what are they calling it? Yeah, teal. That teal color is real fire. And if I was using, you know, if I was staying with the iPhone 16, I would definitely be going with the teal, because green is my favorite color, and it'd be really dope. But personally, I'm gonna have to rock with the black iPhone 15 Pro, just because black matches with everything. But that teal color of the iPhone 16 is definitely dope, right? So you get all the new Apple Intelligence features, you get the action button, but you know, a couple of key things: you don't have 120 hertz. It's not going to feel as good as the Pro phone, but like I said, if you're just looking to get into Apple and you want the latest and greatest without the massive price tag, this is going to be the iPhone for you. But now we got to get into the big boy. We got to get into the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. These are the phones I am personally going to be getting. I've already decided what specifically I'm getting, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But these phones have quite a few upgrades. They are bigger screens on both of the phones. So I think, you know, a little bit of the benefit, obviously the Pro Max gets bigger, but I think the fact that the 16 Pro gets a bigger screen means that you're going to have a bigger screen for around the same price point. As, you know, normally a bigger screen meaning you have to go with the Pro Max, but because the normal 15 Pro is getting a screen increase, if you have, I mean, the 16 Pro is getting a screen increase. If you have like a 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max and you want a phone with a really pretty big screen, you can save money by just getting the 15 Pro, which has a bigger screen. Not as big as the Pro Max, not as big as the 15 Pro Max or the 16 Pro Max, which the 16 Pro Max is the biggest iPhone, but the fact that it's just a little bit bigger, I think, you know, saving money for if you can save like a few $100s just by like having like a slightly smaller screen, I think that's, but still having a lot of pro features, I think the iPhone 16 Pro is going to be probably one of the best value iPhones that we've had. And so of course we get Apple Intelligence is going to be optimized a lot more. The camera's going to be better. I think there are specific Apple Intelligence features specific to the iPhone 16 Pro. It looks a little bit more shiny than last year's 16 Pro. I mean, than last year's 15. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess up these like things a lot because like 15, 16, similar numbers. But there's a couple extra things with Apple Intelligence. I know there's something with like voice messages and things like that. So I believe there's going to be exclusive features, and overall you're just going to have a better experience. And you know, I'd say obviously if you're heavy into the Apple ecosystem, this is going to be a no-brainer. Go get it. But if you're like, I think this is the amount of features that are going to be exclusive, like Apple Intelligence being a new thing that's going to be locked behind these newer phones, unless you have like the highest phone from last year, which not a lot. I mean, some people do, but the 15 sell the most, right? The base 15, but the base 15 does not have Apple Intelligence, right? So that means base 15 and lower. So we're talking about 14 Pro, 13 Pro, a lot of these older phones, I gotta say, you probably should trade in and get the iPhone 16 Pro. Like, if you want a bigger phone, you can get the Pro Max, but I really think, you know, for the price of the Pro Max, I'd say you save a few $100s, because, wait, I just want to pull up the prices. I just want to pull up the prices to get this right. So, the iPhone 15 Pro starts at, the 16 Pro starts at $1999, if only. It starts at $999 for 128 gigs, right? But the Pro Max starts at $1199, but the base storage on the Pro Max is 256 gigs, right? So, I mean, personally, I think the best iPhone to get, which is the one I'm getting, is the iPhone 16 Pro. I'm going to be getting that in 256 gigs. Sure, you could say you could spend an extra $100, get the Pro Max, but I do think that extra $100 when you're like me and all of these pennies are coming out of your pocket, that extra $100 being able to stay in my bank account, I mean, as a normal consumer, $100 is a lot of money to me. I know a lot of other people are like, but it's just $100. $100 is a lot to me, alright? Now I get I'm saying $100 is a lot, but I'm saying upgrade the storage. I just think, you know, if you're daily driving this phone, you're going to need to invest, right? So being realistic, I think that, you know, these phones are going to have better cameras, Apple Intelligence, gaming is supposed to be better. We're talking about better ray tracing. A lot of the better games on iPhones take up storage. And so, you know, if you're using this as your main phone, you should always get at least 100, you should always get 256 gigs, right? And so, I think that, you know, the pricing for the model I recommend, which is the 256 gigs, $1,099. That's a hefty pill to swallow. But trade-ins, there's going to be a good amount of trade-in value for iPhones. And, you know, for the models I recommended, I'm not saying buy this outright. I'm saying, sorry, trade in your older phone, right? So looking at some of the trade-in values, the 15 Plus, I'm going to get back $430 for this. The iPhone normal 15, you get $410 back. The iPhone 14 Pro Max, you get $500 back. The 14 Pro gives you $400 back. The 14 Plus gives you $320. Normal 14, you're looking at $300. 13 Pro Max is looking at $400. The 13 Pro is looking at $340. The iPhone 13 is looking at $250. And then the iPhone 13 mini, you got $200, and then below that it's $100. And well, the 12 Pro gets you $220. That's not bad. The 12 Pro Max also gives you $300 back. That's not bad, because you try to sell the 12 Pro above $300, you're not going to get a lot of sales on that, right? So I'm thinking, I mean, iPhone 7 Plus, if you have it, you'll get freaking $40 back. So I think the trade-in is always going to be the way to go with iPhones. It's one of those things where you pay. The thing I kind of like about Apple is once you pay for a phone, really, you're always guaranteed a discount on the subsequent phone you want to buy with trade-in. So I'm definitely going to be trading in my iPhone, and if you have an older one, you should trade this in because that's going to knock down the price, make it a little bit more digestible. That first initial iPhone payment is going to be kind of like even with this thing, I did like an iPhone 12 trade-in, so I still had to spend like around $800. Like $1,000 after taxes, so it was still a lot, but you know, I gotta say, when you trade in, I think that's going to be a good deal there. But looking at I know I just talked about buying it really, and I didn't really go over the specs, but I mean, it's going to be the optimized 15, so a lot of the things I said about the 15 but better. But I will say, when looking at these all iPhones, the two that I will recommend is the base 16 if you're trying to get into the Apple thing, and then the 16 Pro. If you're hardcore into Apple, of course, people are going to be like 16 Pro Max all day, every day. But I'm thinking if you're like just a consumer, you know, every dollar matters, I think the biggest bang for your bucks are going to be the normal 16 and 16 Pro. The 16 Plus, I don't recommend just because that you know, I said $100 matters, but the fact that it is $100 less than the iPhone 16 Pro. Just looking at I just want to pull up the prices. So when you look at the base iPhone 16 Plus, I just want to pull up the pricing here. It makes you go back and forth to look at all the pricing, right? So I'm trying to look at the pricing, view pricing. So the 16 Plus is going to start at $899, right? And it starts at 128 gigs, right? And so for $100 more, you can just get the 16 Pro. And I think the 16 Pro, the gap between the 16 Pro and the 15 Plus is pretty substantial. So I think that's one of the instances where I say the extra $100 is worth it. So I gotta say, you know, I don't recommend getting the 16 Plus. You're getting a lot of features on a bigger screen, but I think that if you want a little bit bigger screen and a lot of the good features, just get the 16. Normal 16 Pro has a little bit of a bigger screen than the normal 16, not as big as the Pro Max, but I really just think the base iPhone 16 and 16 Pro are gonna be, you know, some of the best bets for pricing. Now that's just my average opinion. I didn't go that much into specs because I just want to give y'all my opinion. You know, specs are nice and all, but this is from someone who has to spend money out of my own pocket to get someone who's working 9 to 5, and these things are expensive. But it's also important to reward yourself. Treat yourself, don't cheat yourself, as the great Flossie Carter says. So I really look forward to getting these iPhones. Once I get my once I get my iPhone 16 Pro, we'll definitely be doing a video. I don't think I'm going to be getting it the day it releases because I went to go get the 15 Plus. I think it was like the first week of October, and this was like 2 to 3 weeks after it released, and the lines were still crazy. So if you think I'm gonna be going this on release day, absolutely not. But if Apple wants to send me one of these phones, I'll do a release day video. But nah. Let me know your thoughts on the iPhone 16 lineup. I think we got a pretty solid lineup, and I look forward to getting one of these phones in my hands. Specifically, I'm gonna go 16 Pro in black. We're gonna go 256 gigs. Let me know how you're gonna mod out your phone. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.